So over 5 years, you're looking at saving almost $1,400 with Landr versus DistroKid, which is kind of insane. I've been a huge fan of DistroKid, and I've been using them for years to release my music. In fact, I've created a number of tutorials on DistroKid, and I still think DistroKid is an awesome company to distribute your music with, but I've been harboring a dark secret, and that is I've been looking for a new music distributor for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't like how they nickel and dime you, and really more like much more than nickel and dime you for a lot of things that are included with a lot of other distributor plans, including the YouTube content ID. And I don't like that your music would be taken down if you ever canceled your subscription or something happened with your credit card and you missed a payment. They would take your music off their platforms. I don't like that at all. Of course, you can pay extra for these things, but then that really adds up quickly. And then probably the number one issue that I've had with DistroKid and what's caused me to look for other platforms is their cover song licensing. You have to pay $12 a year for every single cover song license, and that adds up very quickly. And releasing cover songs is one of the best ways to build an audience and to attract fans to you, because people actually know the songs that you're covering. People are searching for these. So that's one of the best ways to grow. Lots of artists release cover songs to grow their initial following for their then original music. So I really wanted to publish a lot of cover songs, but the main holdup has been DistroKid, because I don't want to have to pay $12 a year for every single song. And I did that for one song. I did it for Running Up That Hill. And so far I basically paid for like 2 years, and I've basically broken even on that from the streaming royalties that I've generated. And so that's great. But I want to release tons and tons of covers, and that could really add up quickly. So I've been looking for other platforms. That's when Landr reached out to me. They wanted to sponsor a video of me comparing DistroKid to Landr. So that's what I'm doing with this video, just giving an honest look at both these platforms that I think are great. But spoiler alert, I think I might be switching to Landr myself personally. So let's look at these two platforms and how they compare pricing wise, as well as the features that they include. So I created this little table here. DistroKid, so we're gonna look at this. So right now, when I've been paying for DistroKid, I'm on the Musician Plus plan, which is what you see right here. So it's about $40 a year, and you can see everything you get with this. Right here, you can see all the music I have, some of the music I have here with DistroKid. But if I wanted to upload some new music, you can see there's tons of extras here that are not included with the regular plan. These are extras you have to add on. For example, your music will be added to YouTube's content ID, the Leave a Legacy, like I mentioned, which is so that your music's not going to be removed from their platform if you cancel. I've mentioned this. You can cancel Landr and your music will not be removed. It'll just be an 85-15 split. So they'll take a small cut of your royalties, but your music stays on the platform, which I think is way better than having all your music removed. So if you just use, let's look at this right here. If you just used the Musician plan, which is our cheapest plan, it is $22.99 a year. And so if you release one single, boom, $22.99 a year. Release an unlimited. So if you release an album of like 10 tracks, still the same thing all the way across the board, no matter how many music released. So over 5 years, which is this column here, over 5 years, you're paying just $114.95 if you're choosing that really base plan. And so that's what I've been doing. I've just been using their cheapest plan. I never have purchased any of their extras, but I realize that's leaving quite a bit on the table that Landr itself includes in their base plan. For example, I haven't ever purchased Leave a Legacy, so my music could be removed if I ever cancel or something happens to my credit card. Not great. But if I was to purchase that would be an extra $29 per single, or if I did an album of up to 10 tracks, that would be $49. So maybe I skip the singles, but I do put all the singles into an album. That's still $50 per album, which is kind of crazy. Then they have their social media pack, which is $4.95 per year per release. Unless it's an album of 10 songs, then it's $14.95. And that includes the YouTube content ID among other platforms. So that can add up as well. So you see here, after 1 year, say you release 3 singles, 3 covers, and 3 albums that first year. I know that's a lot of music in 1 year, but say you kind of stockpiled and put everything out in 1 year, then you're spending $74 $6.55 just on that. And so then over the same, right, that's recurring year over year. So now you're paying $372 just for that YouTube content idea, among other social media platform included in that option. Then you have their discovery feature, right? So the discovery pack, add the signal to the global databases. I know this used to be Shazam. I don't see Shazam on here anymore, so I don't know if they don't include that anymore, but you can see registration with SoundScan for use for Billboard charts, which you can do on your own if you want to. Artist track and album credits official listed. And so these different places that your music can be discovered in. I've never done this, but if you were to do this, again, that adds up because it's about $1 per single, or almost $10 if you're doing an album with 10 tracks. So then again, that adds up. So again, if you're releasing 3 singles, 3 covers, and 3 albums over the course of 5 years, that's another $178. Then there's also the future DSP delivery. So as new streaming platforms come out, you can pay to have DistroKid add your music to these platforms. Now I have noticed in DistroKid, I can go back to some of my old songs, say Picture Perfect. I can add to more stores for free. And so I can add all these on for free. I don't know if this is for everyone or if it's just because I have a priority status account, TikTok, TikTok, Snapchat, all these other ones. Add. So if I go back to my music, Picture Perfect, now you can see a bunch more stores. So I don't know what's going on here. I'm somehow able to add this for free. As far as I know, everyone else can too. So this feature seems a little not really necessary, I guess. So you don't need to really pay for this. And then there's cover songs. So again, $12 per year per cover. So if you did 3 covers your first year, that's $36. Whereas with Landr, they just have a flat $15 fee, and boom, one-time fee. Your cover song is licensed. You don't have to go hunting for the license. You don't have to make sure you're keeping up with it because, right, if your streams cross a certain number, you might need to pay more money, blah, blah, blah. Whole lot of stuff that can be a headache to keep track of. So it's a lot better that you just have Landr or whatever streaming platform you have take care of it for you, which is, I like that DistroKid does that, but I don't like that it's a recurring yearly fee. So you can see after 5 years, you've still only paid $45 for those 3 cover songs with Landr. But with DistroKid, you're now paying $180. So let's look at this. So again, right, you might not want all these extras with DistroKid, but if we're going to compare apples to apples, we have to include these because with Landr, you get all of these included. So to compare apples to apples, we're going to include these different add-ons that you have to pay extra for with DistroKid. So when we look at this, we now have the musician plan is now for over 5 years. If you've released 3 singles, 3 covers, and 3 albums over 5 years, you've now paid $1,524.65 compared to Landr, where you've only paid $164.95 with their basic plan. So that is wild. So over 5 years, you're looking at saving almost $1,400 with Landr versus DistroKid, which is kind of insane. But let's say you didn't go with any of the extras, right? No DistroKid extras. Then what is the difference? Well, no extras except for the covers, right? Because you can't avoid the covers. If you're going to put out cover songs, which I think is very important, I think all of us want to do that. You used to want to put out a couple covers, right? 3 covers, right? So 3 covers with DistroKid plus their base fee over 5 years, you're still paying close to $300, right? So that's this. With Landr, you're still only paying $164.95. So you're still saving $130 with Landr, even if you don't go with any of the DistroKid extras, right? So you're missing out on the social media pack. You're missing out on the YouTube Content ID. And if you don't know, YouTube Content ID is where if someone were to upload a video on YouTube and includes your music, YouTube Content ID will put an ad on that video and you'll earn ad revenue from the views of that ad on that video. So not only that, but you can keep track of all the different videos out there on YouTube that include your music. So that's great and handy to have. It's also an extra stream of income for you, an extra stream of revenue. So you're missing out on that if you're not paying for that, right? You have the risk of losing your music if something were to happen, right? Your credit card, something happened to your credit card, or you canceled your account, or music is kind of held hostage. So you're gonna have to always be paying to keep your music on their platform, on all the different streaming platforms. So you probably do want to pay for that at some point. So, you're kind of including that. Maybe you don't want the discovery or the future DSP deliveries, But again, that's all stuff that's included in Landr. And then all this goes up even more if you are using their Musician Plus plan, which is what I have with DistroKid. Now you're paying $1,609 over the course of 5 years. And so I guess that would be kind of similar to Landr Distribution Pro. So with these plans, it lets you customize your release date. It lets you have extra artists. DistroKid only gives you 2 extra artists. Landr gives you 5 extra artists. So you can release music under 5 different artist names with their Landr Distribution Pro. Right here, Landr Distribution Pro, 5 artists included. So you already can release a lot more music under a lot of different artists with the Landr kind of middle tier versus the DistroKid middle tier. So if we compare these, which I think this is probably the tier most people would want because it gives you a lot more features with both DistroKid and Landr, right? Because you get more artists, right? Maybe you just have one artist, maybe that's not a big deal for you, but you get advanced reporting, a custom label name, a custom release date. This is kind of important if you're planning, you know, a big marketing campaign around your song. You want to know when the release date is. And you want to be able to set that and customize it yourself. So for both DistroKid and Landr, you have to have their middle tier. So for Landr, it is basically $45 a year. For DistroKid is about $40 a year. So $5 extra a year for Landr, but you also get 3 more artists, not to mention YouTube Content ID is already built in and all the other stuff is built in, right? You don't have to have your music taken down if you say, right, something happens. So if we compare these middle tiers, right, over 5 years, if you have those 3 cover songs and everything else with Landr, you're only paying $269.95 over 5 years. With DistroKid, if you include all the add-ons and you're choosing their Musician Plus plan, now you're paying $1,609. So now you're saving over $1,300 over the course of 5 years if you're going with Landr. So to me, it really almost looks like a no-brainer at this point. So maybe DistroKid's great if you're not planning on using any of the extras and you're not planning on doing any cover songs, so you're not planning on earning any extra revenue from the YouTube Content ID, you're not as interested in discovery, and you're okay with being locked into paying forever, then you're kind of saving some money. So it's the Musician Plus plan, right? You still want to be able to customize and release. That's $200 versus $24.95. So you're saving yourself $25 over 5 years. $25 over 5 years if you go with the DistroKid Musician Plus plan versus the Landr Distribution Pro plan. But you're just losing out on so much, not to mention you can't really, you're limited on doing cover songs because you don't want to rack up just 3 singles or just 3 covers. You're paying $36 a year now. That's like, you've almost doubled your monthly, you've doubled the annual cost now of your plan just by doing covers. So you kind of really can't do covers with DistroKid unless you're planning on, you know, making getting tons and tons of streams. It's not an issue for you. So yeah, maybe, I mean, I can't really even say that DistroKid is better at this point, even without any of these extras, because what you're saving is so minuscule compared to the benefit you can get with Landr. So at this point, I'm really thinking of switching to Landr myself. Now, full disclosure, I currently have the Landr Studio plan. This was gifted to me by Landr to try out. So I'm going to be creating much more content, reviewing all the different aspects of Landr because, right, with the studio plan, you can get a ton of different stuff, including unlimited online mastering, 2 million royalty-free samples, a whole bunch of different plugins and instruments, premium mixing and production courses, and a ton of other things. So I'm going to be diving into this much more, comparing Landr and DistroKid and all the other different streaming platforms. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of those. But right now I am heavily leaning towards switching to Landr. And so one thing I'm going to do for certain is I'm going to move my current cover song over to Landr, and I'm going to be releasing more cover songs using Landr 100%. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think about DistroKid versus Landr? Which one do you think is better? Either way, if you decide you want to do DistroKid, I do have a discount link. You can sign up for that by going to orpheusaudioacademy.com/DistroKid. You can get 7% off your first year. Or you can also use my affiliate link to sign up for Landr, and you actually get 20% off your first year. So even their discount is better. So you can go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Landr. Links also in the description below. and you can get 20% off your first year, which is incredible. Now, speaking of streaming and getting more Spotify streams, if you want a step-by-step plan for getting your music onto more Spotify playlists so you can trigger the algorithm and explode your Spotify streams, then be sure to grab my free Spotify playlist placement guide in the description below, or go to orpheusaudioacademy.com/Spotify playlists. And this will walk you through how to get your music onto playlists so you can see those streams shoot through the roof. And if you're looking for a next video to watch, check out my video on the screen now, which walks through how you can start making $1,000 a month just from your Spotify streams alone. So I'll see you over there. Keep creating, and I'll see you in a future video.